can I download some data sets from the Geo database, and can I analyze my own data using the T-BioInfo platform? So let's say I'm interested in this functional analysis, distinct disease-associated fibroblast subsets in rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm interested in finding the data associated with this article. So it's a recent article in 2018, and I'm going to look through here. I see all kinds of interesting figures. And I can read, by the way, what people are doing here, some single-cell RNA-seq. So I know it's going to be transcriptomic data. It looks like this is data from patients, so most likely raw data isn't going to be available. But I can see what they have. So we have a whole discussion here of methods, and how the library was prepared, and then single-cell RNA-seq, microarrays. Okay, so this is very interesting. They did gene set enrichment analysis, differential expression analysis. So all of this you can do on the T-Biome platform. You can see here hierarchical clustering, Pca. So all of the things that we already talked about. Let's see, where is the actual data? Data availability. So now you can see that the data was deposited in Geo, and this is the code. So I can click on this link, and here's the thing that this system is a little bit difficult to navigate sometimes, because now we need to look for a very specific thing. We're looking for an FTP link, a link that will allow us to download the raw data. Now what you will see here is that RNA-seq analysis of freshly isolated synovial fibroblast subsets from patients with rheumatoid arthritis. So before we go into single cell, let's take a look at this data set. And you can see here that this is transcriptomics, and this is taken from the arthritis tissues. And now you can see here that raw data are not available due to patient privacy concerns. The raw data will not be available through controlled access resources. The patients did not consent to genomic data sharing. Okay, so I know I'm not going to have the raw FASTQ files, but I can see right here I have 25 samples, and these 25 samples are from different donors. And now this is interesting. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 samples. So 4 patients, sorry. So I have this 4 patients, and now over here I have in TSV format, I have these FTP links looking like this. So I can already see some things that I can recognize. ENSG, this is the gene, and this is the expression value. So I know what we're dealing with. So basically what you will find is a number of links. So let's take a look at that real quick. So we have these genes, and we have these expression values, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the T-BioInfo platform, and if you remember, these sections right here, this is for processing raw data. Instead, I am interested in analyzing this raw data, and I, for example, can try and replicate some of the things that they did. So just as an example, let's run a Pca pipeline here. The Pca pipeline is going to be under the unsupervised analysis. So one thing that you will notice is that when you upload files, you get an SVL, HTTP, or FTP, and you can just directly paste a link here. However, the platform is going to work with TXT files and not TSV files. So I can simply rename this to TXT, use TXT, and now I'm just going to add files, get my TXT file, and what I want to do is, if you remember, we have many samples here, is to run a PCA. So let's continue, and click on Start. And just to see what's in there, I'm going to do Pca draw and leave it as is, and then end. I'm going to do rheumatoid arthritis, Pca, And what we used here was count, so this is not normalized. Okay, and let's run this pipeline. Let's go to my pipelines. Okay, it's processing. Just going to wait a second here. Okay, and now I see that my pipeline is done. And what I can do is I can go over here and I can see the Pca plots as an example. Okay, so let's take a look at the Pca plots. Okay, so now I can see this plot that shows me a distribution of samples, and you can see the names of the samples and associated colors with those samples. So what I want to do next is I want to go and take the same file, and instead of Pca, try hierarchical clustering. So let's upload the same file that we already used. And now, instead of Pca, we will do hierarchical clustering. Okay, here I will change it to word D2. And then let's do int. Download files. Okay, so here's the PDF. Let's take a look. So here's our dendrogram. And what I can see is at least 4 clusters, or maybe more, that I can already see right here. Now this would be interesting to see what these samples are. Let's go back and try to read a little bit about these samples. So we have 25 samples from 4 rheumatoid arthritis patients. And over here we have different patient names. So we know that 4, 5, and 6, and 7 corresponds to the patient name. And then these are some markers that they've identified. But I hope that this short tutorial has demonstrated how you can take a publication, download the files associated with that publication, run those files on the system, and start to question the data to understand what might be behind the expression values.